Hi, this is Lawrence Lim. Welcome to Coffee and Conversation. Today we have Macgregor here from Westpac. Macgregor, can you please give us an introduction of Westpac as well as what you do at Westpac?
Well, thanks, Lawrence, and it's terrific to be here. So I'm the Chief Development Officer at Westpac, and I'm responsible for a number of different things. I run the Mergers and Acquisitions team, which tends to focus on large-scale acquisitions and divestments. But I also run our Strategic Investments team, where we make investments through our dedicated venture capital fund, Reinventure, and also directly on the Westpac balance sheet.
What do you think are some of the technology that Westpac would see as very relevant for the banking industry and for Westpac itself going forward in the next 5-10 years?
We have a number of different investment themes that we use when making investments. The first of those is what we call embedded finance or invisible finance, and that's really where financial services become embedded within a digital experience. And so an example of that may be in Southeast Asia, for instance, with Grab or with Gojek, where the payment is effectively embedded into the app. And increasingly now we're seeing that a lot of other mobile payments are being made through those particular platform services. Separate to that, we spend a lot of time investing in data analytics, in artificial intelligence, in blockchain-related technologies. All of those we see as capable of transforming the way that financial services operate, particularly on back-end services for a bank.
How has Westpac been looking into this particular space? Have you been investing? Have you been looking into it? Have you been running any projects relating to blockchain for Westpac?
And to date, we haven't really hit on a use case with a viable business model attached to it. Having said that, I think many of us feel that the future of banking will rely heavily on distributed ledgers and blockchain technologies. I think we're just waiting for those sort of emergent use cases to develop.
I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of investments into emerging startups in fintech. Will you be able to share one or two very relevant stories where there has been a successful startup providing a good strong financial transformational impact for Westpac or to the broader banking industry?
The one that I'm particularly fond of is a company called Assembly Payments, which is an Australian-based fintech, which Reinventure invested into about 3 years ago. They invested in a seed stage. Westpac got to know the company reasonably well over the next 12 to 18 months. And when Westpac was at a point where we were looking to build out our next generation merchant payments platform, an omni-channel merchant payments platform, we were debating whether we should build that capability inside the bank or whether we should build it outside the bank. And in the end, we decided to partner with Assembly Payments and have Assembly build out our new capability. We actually moved our merchant payments team from Westpac across into Assembly Payments on the hypothesis that we could deliver faster and cheaper and better outside the organisation than we could inside the organisation.
Regarding M&A, mergers and acquisitions, it's been a very traditional industry where it's full of bankers, it's very human-driven. How do you think technology might be able to particularly target this segment?
On the one hand, M&A is a very relationship-driven business. And to some degree, there's an intangible aspect to deal making, where you can do all the diligence and all of your numbers and metrics, but there's a sort of a sense of how do people feel around a deal? How do you feel about partnering with someone? That part of M&A will always be very human-centric and human-driven. Having said that, there is a large part of any acquisition or divestment process which does involve a lot of process, a lot of due diligence, a lot of financials, and I suppose it's easy to imagine that in the future a lot of that could be automated.
So essentially, we are seeing tech being able to not take over one particular business line, but really just going in there, making things more efficient, better, and creating change in a part of each business line.
Yeah, I think that's certainly true, and that's one part of the disruption that we're obviously seeing. The way I see tech is often as an enabling technology. And in a lot of the companies in which we've invested in, the digital experience needs to be seamless and provide a terrific customer experience. But particularly when customers are making very large financial decisions that are important in the context of their lives, they still often want that human engagement, someone to walk and sort of metaphorically hold their hand.
Yeah, and I think there's some misunderstanding of tech in the general public, right? People talk about tech taking away jobs, but it's really about us being able to evolve fast enough and use technology to our advantage to make jobs, easier, faster, more efficient, more productive.
And that new jobs will emerge. I think the example that's often given in the context of financial services is around the ATM machine, and everyone thought the ATM machines will displace tellers, and there'll be a very significant reduction in the workforce in large financial institutions. Now, it's true that the ATMs did outsource some teller roles, but in the process of changing technology, there were so many new roles created in financial institutions.
So, Macgregor, will you be able to share with us a little bit more into the Australia banking and financial system, just to help us understand how things work over in Australia?
As a banking industry, there are 4 large banks in Australia, and these 4 banks represent a very significant part of the overall Australian stock exchange. Australia tends to be a really fertile ground for fintech innovation. The problem is that Australia is only 25 million people, and so the scale of the market is insufficient to justify a lot of fintech business models. So increasingly what we're finding is that a lot of the Australian entrepreneurs are looking to the ASEAN markets as an opportunity to take their capability offshore.
Thank you, Macgregor. It's really interesting to hear our views and opinions, and it's been a really great session here. Thank you for watching Coffee and Conversations.